everyone. Karen Roby and Ed Bod here for ZDNet, talking today about Microsoft, as we do quite often, Ed. But today, a little different. We're going to chat about frustrations with documentation. So, what's going on here?
Well, there's, the classic complaint about Microsoft software has been that there isn't any documentation for it, right? That you just sort of have to figure it out for yourself. Well, in the last couple of years, the company has gone to the other extreme. They've begun producing absolute mountains of documentation. It's been a fairly impressive effort. But it's sort of good news, bad news, because that documentation is scattered all over the place. And if you're not paying very careful attention, then you wind up missing important details. And that's tough whether you're an IT pro or whether you're just a business person trying to figure out how to make Windows work. But we had a really good example of that this morning in the article that you and I were talking about before we started here, the one from Mary Jo Foley, right? You saw that one, right?
I did see that one. Yeah, yeah. And,
Okay.
and in the article, she talks about, with the Windows update that everyone kind of thought that it was a bug, but maybe that's not the case.
Yeah, exactly. So here's what happened. In version 1909, the version that was current until just a month ago of Windows 10, there were a couple of boxes on the Windows Update settings page there where you could defer updates. You could defer quality updates by up to 30 days, and you could defer feature updates by up to 365 days. Well, guess what? Microsoft released the update, the new version of Windows 10 on May 27th, right? And so, people went out and started installing that, and they went to that page and they looked for those little boxes and they couldn't find them. The boxes weren't there. So you're right. A lot of people thought that was a bug, but as it turned out, that was a feature. When I saw Mary Jo's article this morning, I scratched my head because I said, wait a minute, she's referring to an article called Windows 10, what's new in Windows 10 for IT pros. Microsoft published this article back on May 27th, 29th. I read it when it came out and I didn't see anything about this feature missing. So then I went back and looked at it and there's this paragraph in there that I don't remember reading before. And I don't think I would have missed it. So I got onto the Internet Archive, the Wayback Machine, and I checked that page. And that page, that little bit of information was added there on June 23rd. Didn't exist there before that. Nobody told anybody about it. They just sort of buried this piece of information in there. And, so there were a whole bunch of people out there in the Microsoft community who were scratching their head the same way that I was, trying to figure out what's going on here. And, if you've already looked at that place, you're not going to look again because you don't expect, I already read that one. I'm going to go look somewhere else. So it was a pretty frustrating thing to see that. It was also frustrating to see Microsoft refer to it as an enhancement for Windows Update. I don't normally think of, removing a feature as an enhancement for it. But, it brought to mind for me a much larger issue with Microsoft's documentation, which is that it is just scattered all over the place. And, trying to find this stuff this morning, I wound up making a list of all the different places that if you want to keep up with what's happening with Windows every 6 months, here's what you have to do. So, pardon me while I get out my reading glasses so I can look at this. But, okay, so you already know about the what's new in what's new in Windows 10 for IT pros. So they update that every 6 months, and then you got to check it every month, I guess, because they might add something to it. But that's on the Microsoft Docs site. Then there's the Windows 10 Release Health dashboard, and that gives you what the rollout status is and any known and resolved issues for each new version. That's also at the Microsoft Docs hub, but you have to check that one every couple days also because they're constantly adding and changing things for that. Um, but then there's the Windows 10 update history. Now that's different from the release health dashboard, and that's maintained in a completely different place at Microsoft support. And that has a list of every cumulative update for Windows 10. Okay, so you got to bookmark that one, completely different place. If you want to download the updates, you have to go to the Microsoft Update catalog. And the way you're going to know that you got there was because it looks like you got in a time machine and went back to the Windows Vista era, because the design hasn't changed since about 2007, seriously. Um, and then if you're not an IT pro and you want to get a detailed list of what's new in that feature update, then you could find there's a blog post that you could find each 6 months when a new update comes out from the Microsoft Windows marketing team. But that's all kind of, happy talk and get excited about this wonderful new stuff we have for you. If you want the technical details and you're not deploying Windows 10 for a large organization, then you have to go back to Microsoft Docs and you have to find this section. You have to find the Windows 10 Insider Preview Builds pages. Now, it makes no sense that you're going to find technical information about a brand new official release in the Insider Preview pages, but that's where they documented each one of those changes as it was moving through the development process. And then when they're done with it, they archive it, and you just have to know that that's where it is. Oh, and then finally, there's a list of all the features that they've removed and the features that they've stopped developing for each issue. Or for each new release. And for those, you have to go to the Microsoft deployment instructions for IT pros and go all the way down to the bottom to the Windows 10 features lifecycle page if you want to figure out why a feature that you used to use isn't there anymore. So it's just a big mess. And I've put together a hub that that provides these bookmarks for people so that you don't have to go constantly looking in all the places. But I shouldn't be the one that has to do that. And someone at Microsoft should have that responsibility. So this is sort of my call to action for Microsoft is, try and pull yourself together, or at least pull all that information together, and give us one place where we can go to, one hub where we can go to and find this information, and and then maybe I can retire that page.
Right. They can let you off the hook since you're doing their work for them. Seems like a lot of work for somebody, Ed, to have to, who has the time to do that, to go check here and there? And what if you don't know to check here? I mean, that's a lot.
The only reason I put together that page was for my own selfish self-interest, because it was the only way that I could keep track of things. I feel really sorry for someone who is just trying to track down a fact and they don't know this taxonomy that that exists at Microsoft.com. You could go down a rabbit hole, and your coworkers might not see you for another 3 weeks.
Right. Well, I'm just glad that you did the work for them, and so others can benefit from this list here, Ed. And of course, you put all that together for us, and they're on ZDNet, and hopefully benefit lots of others out there. Maybe you should get paid for it. I don't know, but that just.
I'll keep it up to date, and maybe I'll send them a bill.
There you go. Good idea. All right, Ed, we appreciate it as always. We hope all of you will check that out there on ZDNet, and you can certainly comment to Ed, let them know how frustrating this has been for you as well there through Microsoft. All right, Ed, thanks for being with us, and thanks for watching, everybody.